Hello friends, welcome to a new episode of Drishti IAS editorial analysis. In this editorial analysis, we do three things. First of all, we link the editorial to the UPSC syllabus. Secondly, we try to understand the key points of the editorial. And thirdly, if any key concepts have come in the editorial and are important from exam point of view, we also discuss them. So let us begin today's editorial analysis.
Dear viewer, this video is available in Hindi as well. If you wish to watch it, please visit our Hindi YouTube channel, Drishti IAS. For your convenience, the link for this video in Hindi has been provided in the description below.
We have taken today's editorial from the Hindu and it has come on 24th of September. The title of the editorial is A Light Touch and it says that problematic content abounds in the digital space, but regulation must be sagacious. Now let's look at its linkage with the syllabus. So it links directly with GS paper 2 and also with GS paper 3. In GS paper 2, it basically links with governance part of the syllabus. Whereas in GS paper 3, it links with the security part of the syllabus, where it deals with challenges to internal security through communication networks, role of media and social networking sites in internal security challenges. So after establishing the linkage with the syllabus, now let's look at its key points. So before moving on to the key points of the editorial, let us try to understand what the issue is all about. So basically, the issue of media freedom has been in news because of a controversial program aired by a TV news channel. And that has given rise to this debate about media freedom, the need to regulate media and so on. Now the government in a proposal to the Supreme Court has said that Supreme Court should think about imposing guidelines on digital media, but it raises important questions concerning freedom of expression, which forms part of the fundamental rights guaranteed to every citizen by the Constitution under Article 19, Clause 1. And on the Sudarshan TV controversy, the Supreme Court had sought centre's views on regulating media. The government urged the court to restrict itself to the matter at hand, which was the socially inflammatory content of the Bindas Bol program, and not lay down any further guidelines for the entire mainstream media. But simultaneously, the government also asked the court to begin with digital media if it wants to go ahead with such regulations on media. And digital media is very problematic because it is the only form of public communication which is permitted to operate without any license and has used this freedom to proliferate its influence both for good, and sometimes it has also led to some harmful consequences. And this influence of the digital media is seen as problematic by the government as it can be used to create unrest by viral internet communication much more easily than through print or TV media. And that is why regulating digital media is on top of the government's agenda. And over the years, it has been generally agreed that the media should regulate itself. That means there should be no censorship or regulation of the media by the government, but the media should self-regulate. And that is a stand we can take while answering any question which concerns with regulation of media, that the best way forward is to self-regulate. Now the Supreme Court, while hearing the Sudarshan TV issue, has said that the self-regulation of TV news requires strengthening and there is a urgent need to balance freedom of speech with the protection of human dignity. And Supreme Court has also called for media to engage in responsible journalism and not just aim at getting more and more TRPs by providing sensational news. Supreme Court has also asked Sudarshan News that targeting an entire community on the basis of dubious funding of one organization is also not acceptable. Also, Supreme Court has directed the News Broadcasters Association, which is a private association of 26 news and current affairs broadcasters, to come up with concrete suggestions to strengthen the self-regulation mechanism. So this is the basic background behind this editorial. Now let us look at the key points of the editorial. So the editorial starts by saying that recently the government has twice signaled that more rules to tackle the problems of unlawful content and harm-causing disinformation in the digital media space are in the offing. That is, the center is planning to come up with more rules to regulate the digital media space. And on 21st September, in an affidavit which was filed in the case involving Sudarshan TV, the government has said that the regulation of web-based digital media is the need of the hour. And secondly, without any checks, digital media can spread hatred, terror and violence, as has been seen in many of the cases. Most common have been the WhatsApp forwards, which have led to lynching incidents. Also, the Minister of State for Electronics and IT, Mr. Sanjay Dhotre, has said in a written reply to the Lok Sabha that the ministry is working to amend the Information Technology Intermediaries Guidelines Rules 2011 to make intermediaries more responsive and accountable. Now here we should know who are the intermediaries. So whenever any person is using a platform such as Twitter or Facebook or WhatsApp to air one's views on any issue, then the platform is the intermediary between the person who is expressing the views and the viewers or the listeners who are receiving that information. Now the government has always been wanting that the platforms should take more onus for regulating the content that is posted on their sites. But the platforms have been saying that they are innocent and it is the user of the platform who should be held liable for whatever they are posting. Next, the editorial talks about the debate on regulating the internet, and it says that it is difficult to disagree with the view that internet is a space where finding truthful facts can be often challenging, and that polarizing opinions, hate speech and disinformation abound, which are far from the truth but presented in a manner that people fall for it. And many lives have been lost to such disinformation fueled violence in India in recent years. But at the same time, the editorial says that it is also difficult to agree with the view that more rules are an answer to an age-old problem which has now been amplified by technology-based platforms. So what the government is saying that let us make more rules to regulate the internet. While many people feel that more rules is not the answer. Already rules are present, but they need to be applied uniformly and consistently. Editorial also says that the idea that more regulation will solve this problem is not correct, because the laws to tackle incendiary content and hate speech that fuels violence are already in place. But what is lacking is a will to uniformly apply these rules, irrespective of political affiliations. So the answer cannot be more rules and regulation, but the answer lies in using the existing rules and regulations more effectively and consistently. The editorial also talks about the fear of censorship, and it says that the flip side is that internet is a place where there is free sharing of information and ideas, and the question that is worth asking is if it is possible to ever regulate the internet without following the China example. Now China has throttled the internet, but India, being a democracy, should not follow the Chinese way. Also, the editorial says that talking about more rules to regulate the internet is like a euphemism for censorship, and it must be guarded against. Also, a large number of these digital news media sites and magazines pursue legitimate journalism initiatives, which not only have proper mechanisms to deliver quality but also operate with a high degree of accountability, and they should be allowed to function without any hindrance. Finally, the editorial says that attempts at making new rules for intermediaries such as Google and Facebook need to be well thought out and measured. It should not be lopsided, because the earlier attempts at imposing a high degree of liability on such platforms and intermediaries for content posted by their users have not survived legal scrutiny, with Section 79 Clause 1 of the IT Act of 2000, which we will see later in the key concept section, has given them some immunity in this regard. So the editorial says what is needed is intervention by the government that is light and well considered, because that will only work. Any kind of extreme measures to regulate the internet will only be counterproductive, and the government must not do that. So this was all in the key points of the editorial. Now let us look at some key concepts. So first of all, let's look at the Intermediary Guidelines Rules 2011 under the IT Act of 2000. So it defines intermediaries as those who provide internet, telecom, email or blogging services, and also includes cyber cafes. An intermediary is not liable for any content posted or transmitted through it by a user. Also, the intermediaries are required to comply with due diligence standards and to remove unlawful content upon receiving actual knowledge of it. Now, Section 79 of the Act empowers the government to prescribe due diligence standards to intermediaries. Also, these rules require each intermediary to publish its terms of use, and these terms of service are required to prohibit the user from hosting content that is grossly harmful, harassing, blasphemous, defamatory, obscene, hateful, racially or ethnically objectionable, unlawful, etc. And once the intermediary has the knowledge, either obtained on its own or when it is informed by any person, that the content being hosted by the intermediary violates these rules, then the intermediary is required to initiate action for removal of such content within 36 hours. Now let's look at the self-regulatory mechanism for media. For print news media, it is governed by the Press Council of India, which is a statutory body set up in 1966. And the council itself consists of a chairman and 28 members, including members of parliament and 13 journalists. And it acts as a quasi-judicial adjudicatory body. But Press Council of India also has limited powers of enforcing the guidelines issued by it. It cannot penalize newspapers, news agencies, editors and journalists for violations of its guidelines. And the PCI only overviews the functioning of print media. Next, let's look at social media. Now, this online space is governed by the Information Technology Act of 2000, and the Act empowers the government to block, filter and take down any content online which is objectionable. The government is also empowered to turn off internet access completely, which is known as the internet shutdown. And India has the dubious distinction of the country having the largest number of internet shutdowns. Then we come to the electronic media. Now, program and advertisement codes for regulating content broadcast on television are issued under the Cable Television Networks Regulation Act of 1995. This we should be knowing. And under this, the district magistrate can seize the equipment of the cable operator in case he broadcasts programs that violate these codes. Now, certain standards have been prescribed for content accessible over the internet under the IT rules of 2011. However, a regulatory body such as the PCI, which exists for the print media, does not exist for electronic media. We do have a News Broadcasters Association, NBA, which represents the private television news and current affairs broadcasters. And this body acts as a self-regulatory body, and it probes complaints against electronic media. There is also an Indian Broadcast Foundation, which also looks into the complaints against content aired by the TV channels. Finally, let's look at the IT Act of 2000 and the Section 79 Clause 1. So, Information Technology Act of 2000 regulates the use of computers, computer systems, computer networks, and also data and information in electronic format. And this act lists down, among other things, following as offences: tampering with computer source documents, hacking with computer system, any act of cyber terrorism, and cheating using computer resources. The Section 79 of the 2000 Act, which was amended in 2009, provides that an intermediary shall not be liable for any third-party information, data or communication link made available or hosted by him. Further, it gives almost blanket protection to intermediaries from legal action under Section 499 and Section 500 of the Indian Penal Code, which deal with defamation. So this Section 79 of the 2000 Act provides lot of protection to the intermediaries, which are the platforms like Facebook, Google, Twitter, etc. So after this, let's look at the kind of questions that can be asked in prelims and mains. So in prelims, the question can be asked about the various acts which are governing the electronic media, print media, etc. So the Cable Television Networks Regulation Act of 1955 is governing the electronic media. Then we have association like the News Broadcaster Association, which acts as a self-regulatory body for the TV channels. And similarly for print media, we have the Press Council of India. Then a question can be asked about the Information Technology Act 2000 and the Section 79, which provides immunity to the platforms from any content posted on them by the users. In mains, the question can be asked about the challenges associated with media freedom and also about the self-regulation of media. Question can also be asked about the regulation of internet or digital media space and what are its pros and cons. Also from this topic, an essay can also be asked in the UPSC. So one should be prepared about all the various dimensions that are involved with media freedom and how media freedom is important for a democracy, but responsible journalism is also part of that media freedom. So this was all in today's editorial analysis. We'll see you next time with another editorial. Thank you.